It's 3 in the morning, and the world is finally quiet. But inside your mind, the volume is turning up. You are staring at the ceiling, replaying a 5-second interaction that happened hours ago. Maybe it was a word you stuttered over, or a joke that didn't land, or the way you ended an email. To anyone else, it was a non-event, a tiny blip in a busy day. But to you, it's a crime scene. You are zooming in on the details, looking for the exact moment you failed, and wondering if everyone saw what you saw. You feel this tight, buzzing energy in your chest that won't let you rest. It feels like if you just think about it long enough, you can somehow undo the mistake. But the more you think, the heavier the mistake becomes, until a tiny error feels like a definitive statement on who you are. Why does your brain treat a small social awkwardness like a life-threatening disaster? There is a hidden architecture to this exhaustion, and it isn't just about being sensitive. There is a specific reason your mind won't let you off the hook, and it traces back to a survival mechanism that is currently working against you. Before the night is over, we need to look at why your brain is obsessed with these loops and what it's actually trying to protect. This experience has a name in psychology: rumination. It's not just thinking, it's a repetitive, passive focus on the causes and consequences of your distress. Think about how you feel after a day of these tiny failures. You feel drained, not because of the work you did, but because of the mental trial you've been conducting against yourself. Every mistake becomes a data point in a very dark story you tell yourself about your own competence. You start to believe that "I made a mistake" means "I am a mistake." This affects how you walk into a room the next day. You become hyper-vigilant, monitoring your tone, your posture, and your words to ensure no further evidence can be gathered against you. In your relationships, this shows up as a constant need for reassurance, or worse, a withdrawal. You stop sharing your thoughts because you're afraid of the mental tax you'll have to pay later if you say something wrong. Your self-talk becomes a harsh, relentless narrator. It's the voice that says, "Why did you say that?" Or, "They're definitely judging you now." This isn't just a bad habit. It's a personality trait known as maladaptive perfectionism. It's the belief that your worth is a fluctuating currency, and every mistake is a market crash. But where did this narrator come from? And why is it so loud? Here is the truth you need to hear. You are not broken. The part of your brain that is keeping you awake is actually your oldest, most loyal protector. This pattern isn't a flaw in your character. It's an adaptation. In the history of our species, being cast out of the group meant certain death. Social rejection was a death sentence. Your brain learned that to stay safe, it had to be its own harshest critic. If you catch your mistakes before others do, you can fix them. If you punish yourself enough, you won't repeat the error, and you'll remain safe within the tribe. Overthinking is essentially a low-level fight-or-flight response. Your brain perceives a social error as a predator in the bushes. It's trying to solve a problem that doesn't have a logical solution because the threat is already in the past. You are using a survival instinct to navigate a modern world that doesn't actually require that level of intensity. You are like a high-performance security system guarding an empty shed. The system isn't broken. It's just calibrated for a much more dangerous world than the one you're living in right now. To understand why these loops are so hard to break, we have to look at the default mode network, or DMN. This is the part of the brain that becomes active when you aren't focused on a specific task. It's the me center of the brain, responsible for self-reflection and thinking about the past and future. In overthinkers, the DMN is often overactive. It creates a loop between the prefrontal cortex, the part that analyzes, and the amygdala, the part that feels fear. Think of it like a mental mirror room. When you make a mistake, you step into this room. Every wall is a mirror, reflecting a slightly distorted version of that mistake. Your brain starts running from one mirror to the next, trying to find the true version of events so it can fix it. The mental model here is the safety net illusion. You unconsciously believe that by overthinking, you are building a safety net that will catch you the next time you fail. But in reality, you are just knitting a heavy blanket that smothers your ability to act. Behavioral psychology shows that the more we ruminate, the more we paralyze our executive function. The brain gets stuck in the assessment phase and never makes it to the acceptance or action phase. This is why you feel so stuck. The mechanism designed to keep you safe is the very thing keeping you trapped in the past. So, how do we recalibrate this system? We don't do it through positive thinking, which usually feels like a lie to an overactive brain. We do it through structured psychological interventions. The first step is what we call cognitive distancing, or externalizing the critic. Instead of saying, "I am so stupid for saying that," you say, "My brain is currently replaying a social interaction to look for threats." In neuroscience, this creates a meta-cognitive shift. You are no longer the person in the mirror room. You are the person standing outside looking at the door. A real-life example is giving your inner critic a name. Maybe it's the auditor or the prosecutor. When the loop starts at 3 a.m., you can say, "Oh, the auditor is working overtime tonight." This reduces the emotional charge of the thoughts because they are no longer the truth. They are just the auditor's report. It works because it breaks the fusion between your identity and your intrusive thoughts. The second step is the 5-year filter. This is a behavioral tool used to challenge the amygdala's sense of urgency. When you are spiraling over a tiny mistake, ask yourself, will this mistake matter in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years? Most of the things we ruminate on don't survive the 5-week mark, let alone 5 years. This works because it forces your prefrontal cortex to engage in long-term temporal processing. It pulls your brain out of survival mode and into perspective mode. For example, imagine you sent a typo in a group chat. Your brain screams, "Disaster." But when you apply the filter, you realize that in 5 years, everyone in that chat will have replaced their phones 3 times and won't remember your name, let alone the typo. This lowers the cortisol spike and allows the loop to slow down. The third step is productive worry window. The brain overthinks because it feels like it must solve the problem right now. If you try to stop thinking entirely, you create thought suppression rebound, the white bear effect, where the thought comes back even stronger. Instead, schedule 15 minutes a day for worry time. During this time, you are allowed to overthink as much as you want. But when the time is up, you tell your brain, "We've handled the assessment for today. We'll pick it up tomorrow." This works because it honors the brain's need for safety without letting it take over your entire life. Real life example, set a timer at 5 p.m. Write down every mistake you're worried about. When the timer goes off, close the note. You'll find that by the time 3 a.m. rolls around, your brain feels less pressure to report those mistakes because it knows there is a designated time for them. The fourth step is self-compassion as a functional tool. Many overthinkers resist self-compassion because they think it's soft or will make them lazy. But in personality theory, self-criticism is actually what leads to procrastination and avoidance. Self-compassion is the reset button for the nervous system. When you acknowledge that making mistakes is a universal human experience, you lower your defense mechanisms. Think of a scientific pilot model. A pilot doesn't scream at the plane when it hits turbulence. They just adjust the dials. You are the pilot. The mistake is just turbulence. When you treat a mistake as a data point instead of a character flaw, you can actually learn from it. The next time you mess up, say to yourself, "This is what it feels like to be a human, learning something new." This simple phrase switches the brain from threat detection to learning mode. It is the difference between a brain that is trying to survive and a brain that is trying to grow. To tie this all together, I want you to remember the Museum of Mistakes model. Imagine your life is a vast museum. Most people walk through and see the beautiful exhibits, your kindness, your hard work, your growth. But you have spent your life standing in one tiny, dark corner of the basement, staring at a single broken tile on the floor. You have been so focused on that one tile that you've forgotten the rest of the building exists. Integrated recovery means acknowledging the broken tile exists, but choosing to walk back upstairs. The mistake is just one small object in a very large room. It does not define the architecture of your life. Your brain has been trying to protect you by keeping you in that basement, thinking that if you just stare at the tile long enough, it will fix itself. But the tile is fine being broken. It's the staring that is hurting you. You have carried the weight of perfection for a long time. You have been a dedicated guardian of your own reputation, a tireless worker in the factory of getting it right. But you are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to be imperfect. The world does not require you to be a flawless machine to be loved. In fact, it's the cracks in the porcelain that let the light in. The people who truly matter aren't looking for your mistakes. They are looking for you. And you can't be present for them if you're always stuck in a mental loop from 3 days ago. Tonight, when the auditor starts his report, I want you to do something radical. I want you to thank him for trying to keep you safe. And then I want you to tell him that you're going to sleep sleep anyway. The mistakes will still be there tomorrow, but they won't be as big as they seem right now. Because a mistake is just a moment in time, and you are so much more than a collection of moments. You are the one who survives them. You are the one who grows through them, and that is more than enough. The next time you feel the loop starting, just remember, you are the pilot, not the turbulence.